Hey everyone, this is Andy from Immediate Arabic. I hope everyone is doing well. One of the statements that we hear quite often, especially in the first week of class, is usually goes something like, I can't believe I learned this much vocabulary, um, or something to that effect. I heard that twice this past week. So, how do we achieve these results so quickly in immediate Arabic? And let me just kind of give you an example of past students and average students. If you look at a first semester of college Arabic, usually it's called Arabic 101. You'll spend about, if you're a bad student, maybe 40 hours a week in class and doing homework. If you're a good student, maybe 70. So let's just say you'll probably spend about 60 hours both inside and outside of class working on Arabic. Now, this is a generalization because this is not always true. There are different levels and different programs out there in Arabic, but the majority of college Arabic 101 is you get done with it and you'll have been exposed to a ton of grammar. You'll be able to read and write to some degree. And you'll have some vocab that you'll probably not remember until you do it again next semester because you never use it. And you probably can maybe have a 4 or 5 sentence conversation with the person next to you, and that's about it. Now, that's achieved in 60 hours. Here's what we do in less than 5. You can have a 10 to 15-minute conversation totally in Arabic. Okay. Now, grant you, I cannot teach you to read and write and 20 different grammar rules in 5 hours. But for us to be able to get a conversation for 10 to 15 minutes out of somebody after, well, typically only after 4 hours, we think that's pretty good. In fact, we're stupid happy with it. So here goes the question again: is how do we achieve this? So we look at the results. We look at somebody being able to hold conversations after literally 4 to 5 hours in a week. We look at some of our students who've achieved basically the ILR level 1 in less than 80 hours, and we were able to teach them how to read. We were teaching them Levantine Arabic, and we taught them to write in that same time. So how are we doing all this? Well, I think there's a number of different reasons that this program has been so successful on our students. And number one, we use a living story. So it's almost like a virtual trip, if you will, to the Middle East, based many times on my experiences. And the person is involved in this story. So there is something coming out of it for them. Like the results of this story are going to depend on what happens to them next. So they're involved with it. And I think that kind of takes them in. I've had students tell me that they kind of like getting to the next scenario. So, it's a little bit like a video game, if you will, in that sense. And you always are trying to make it to the next level. So I think that's one reason. I think two, to some degree, it's problem solving. If you have to find something in one of the scenarios, if you have to accomplish something, it makes you think. And again, it kind of focuses yourself on solving this issue. Thirdly, we use a lot of repetition. So, if you go through one scenario, if it's in the very beginning, we might go through it a couple times. It will always be different. Once we're out of the first few scenarios, though, usually we continue to use a lot of the same vocab words, just in different scenarios so that there is that repetition. We don't want to bore the student, but at the same time, we have to get that repetition in. So we have different scenarios in which the same vocabulary is used. So I think that's another thing. I also think because you get to kind of see it in real time as well, you get to kind of see how these, we use transliteration, especially in the beginning. So you get to actually see to some degree how it sounds, and you're also listening to it. And you're getting that instant feedback because you're talking to a live person. It's not like using some of the other popular software programs where you're just kind of memorizing something. You're actually actively involved in this, which means that, we have to come up with, different characters. Again, many of them based on real life people from our past. But because you get that instant feedback and that instant gratification, and in some degrees you get to be corrected instantly, we think that has a huge, or is a huge, huge factor in the potential for the student to learn. So again, combination of repetition, having the student involved in the story and being a part of the story, along with problem solving, and of course, kind of immersing themselves into the whole situation, while at the same time getting that direct feedback from an instructor. We think that combination, it just makes it perfect. And that is the reason that we can take somebody who is of average intelligence, of average amounts of time in their life, and literally transform them into a person that can speak 10 or 15 minutes of Arabic with only 4 or 5 hours devoted to it. So if we can do it in 4 or 5 hours, imagine what our students who are able to, do that for 7 and 8 weeks, 12 weeks, et cetera, et cetera. It just keeps getting better and better. The State Department says it takes 2,200 hours to get somebody basically fluent in Arabic. I'm pretty sure we can come close to cutting that in half. Anyway, if you have any interest in our programs, please don't hesitate to contact us. We're always here willing to answer any questions you have as well. So take care, keep studying, and we will see you all soon for our next video.